In yet another bid to unite opposition parties, Congress President Sonia Gandhi's virtual meet with opposition parties is set to begin shortly. India Today has learnt that 19 party leaders, including chiefs of the TMC, Shiv Sena, NCP and DMK, will be attending the virtual meet. However, BSP will not be attending despite being invited. AAP has not been invited for the huddle. The agenda of the meet is aimed to rejuvenate opposition unity and corner the government on a range of issues, from Pegasus Snoopgate to farmer protests. This isn't the first time opposition parties have tried to put up a united front against the BJP. NCP chief Sharad Pawar had met various opposition leaders at his residence in June. Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee also met a slew of opposition leaders while she was in the national capital last month.
ये तो बहुत अच्छा है, नया शुरुआत है। सब विरोधी दल जो मोदी विरोधी है एक साथ आए हैं। मुझे लगता है इससे उभर के एक इकाई आएगा, विरोधी इकाई।
देश के बहुत से मुख्यमंत्री हैं उसमें और सोनिया गांधी चेयरपर्सन यूपी आज की मीटिंग की अध्यक्षता करेंगी और बहुत से विषय देश में चल रहे हैं उसके ऊपर भी चर्चा हो सकती है। आने वाले दिनों में रणनीति क्या होनी चाहिए, कुछ राज्यों में चुनाव भी है, फिर 2024 का चुनाव है, लोकसभा सार्वत्रिक, तो सभी विषय पर शायद आज चर्चा हो सकती है।
मीटिंग का एजेंडा ये है कि जनता के सामने, देश के सामने गंभीर समस्याएं हैं। पूरे पार्लियामेंट की सत्र हुई, ये समस्याओं को विपक्ष को उठाने का मौका नहीं दिया सरकार ने। सरकार खुद डिस्टर्ब करते गई पार्लियामेंट को। तो हमारे पास और कोई चारा नहीं है, अब सीधा जनता के सामने जाए और इन सवालों को लेकर हम जनता के बीच में जा रहे हैं। किस तरीके से जाएंगे, क्या होगा उसकी पद्धति, वो चर्चा होगी आज की मीटिंग में।
विपक्षी राजनीति का एजेंडा तय करने के लिए इधर कई प्रयास तेज हुए हैं, एक ममता जी के नेतृत्व में और अब सोनिया जी प्रयास कर रही।
अच्छा होता है ये मीटिंग पार्लियामेंट के सेशन के दौरान करती और पार्लियामेंट सेशन ठीक चले और जो अपोजिशन के लीडर मिसबिहेव करे तो मिसबिहेव ना करते। जिस प्रकार से वो टेबल पर चढ़कर उनके सांसद प्रताप बाजवा नाच रहे थे वो ना करते तो ज़्यादा अच्छा होता, क्योंकि पार्लियामेंट ठीक चलना भी उनकी जिम्मेवारी है, ठीक चलाना भी उनकी भी उतनी जिम्मेवारी जितनी सरकार की है।
What Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee said during her meeting with other opposition parties last month.
लोकसभा अभी देर है, लेकिन प्लानिंग तो पहले से ही करना पड़ता है। जैसे यूपी का इलेक्शन है, पंजाब का इलेक्शन है, त्रिपुरा का इलेक्शन है। You see, in democracy, if you want to fight, you should not discriminate party to party. Whoever is a like-minded party, everybody must work together. One leader, one nation, one ration card, one nation, one political party, one nation. What is the valuation? আমরা তো মনে করি unity is the nation, unity is the strength, unity is the result, unity is for all. Unity in diversity is our origin. We want united India.
Anand Patel and Rahul Srivastava joining us on the story to give us some more details and perspective on this. Anand, what does this mean, especially coming after we've already seen the Bengal Chief Minister rally opposition parties? We've seen Sharad Pawar also rally opposition leaders. So coming after these sequence of events, how significant is it that we're now seeing this from Sonia Gandhi?
Well, quite significant, Abha. The manner in which Mrs. Gandhi has invited more than 15 party opposition leaders for this virtual meet. They will be discussing the current issues faced with the nation, because the parliament session was a complete washout. Issues like COVID vaccination, the management of the pandemic, economy, how is it faring, unemployment, all these issues will be discussed, because the opposition MPs feel, the parties feel that they didn't get an opportunity to express themselves in the parliament session. But notwithstanding all these, statements which will be released and resolution which will be passed, it's basically assertion of the Gandhi family as the center stage and as the center stage of the opposition is very important here. Remember, this meeting comes after August 9 meeting dinner organized by G23 dissident leader of the Congress party, Kabul, in which a number of opposition party leaders participated. So here the Gandhis are asserting themselves and telling the opposition parties that, look, this is the Congress party without which the opposition unity cannot be talked about, and it is the Gandhi family without which the Congress party does not exist. So clearly, the Gandhis are trying to tell here the opposition that they are the ones who are at the pole position, and no talk of opposition unity can be done without taking into the confidence. So clearly, this meeting will, strengthen the position of the Gandhi family, also in the party, as well as among the opposition parties ahead of 2024, when there is a talk of a united and a joint front against BJP.
Anand, stay with us. Let me bring Rahul in as well. Rahul, yes, there has been a leadership crisis in the Congress. We've had that question brought up several times. Rahul seems reluctant. So then the question boards, can the Congress party under Sonia Gandhi as interim president really now manage to rally opposition parties? Can it really be the point for the opposition to take on Modi in 2024?
Abhay, if you recall the meeting that Prashant Kishore, after the success in West Bengal had with Sharad Pawar, that was a meeting in which Sharad Pawar agreed to acting as some kind of a pivot around whom some kind of an united opposition can be built or an effort can be made. Sharad Pawar in that meeting had told Prashant Kishore that without the Congress, there can be no united opposition campaign against Narendra Modi and his BJP. And given that, it seems that the Congress has become part of an all opposition attempt to come together. Now, this high unity index is welcome for the opposition. 18 political parties coming in is definitely a sign that the opposition still has an appetite to come united as far as the movement against Narendra Modi and BJP is concerned. But as Anand said, there are certain messages which should be read in from this meeting. The very important signal that over the last 4 to 5 years, it is the Trinamool Congress which has given a strong impression that it is the principal opposition party by taking cudgels against the BJP at every moment and beating the BJP, not just beating it in Bengal, but beating it handsomely. And that's one element that has worried the Congress. When during the budget session, Mamata Banerjee came to Delhi, she went and met senior leaders, and in that she kind of threw her hat in the ring that if the opposition is uniting against Narendra Modi, she is there. Me too. That was a signal from Mamata Banerjee, and that got the Congress worried because Rahul Gandhi somewhere is not very open to the idea of getting a lot of opposition together and working with them, because he has to revive the Congress, and if he has to revive the Congress, it has to be even in states where the Congress has lost ground. 7 chief ministers and senior leaders today in the country are all ex-congressmen, including Mamata Banerjee. So how does the Congress move there against those opposition parties? But also this opposition unity index has several non-unifying elements, like no invitation being extended to the Aadmi party. Now the Congress knows it's a rival in Punjab, where Aadmi party is trying to work against the Congress party, emerge as an alternative. In that scenario, the unification gets slightly incomplete. And that is why one can say it's not purely a unifying attempt, but also an attempt to get in front of the opposition that the Congress is still the biggest challenger, and also an indication perhaps that not anytime soon in future is Rahul Gandhi going to take over the party and Sonia Gandhi likely to continue as an interim president.
All right, and that's a great point, Anand. I want to delve more into that as well, because Sonia's meeting coming after Sybil's dinner diplomacy, is this a clear message being sent out, given that the Gandhis were not invited to that earlier dinner with opposition leaders? Is this a clear message being sent out to the G23?
Well, absolutely. It's a clear-cut message to all the dissident leaders who, through this Sybil dinner, tried to send out a message across that, look, despite all the efforts, despite all the pressure, the group of 23 dissident leaders, now 22 after Jitin Prasad has switched over to the BJP, they stand united. They are still focused on what they demanded. They wanted internal democracy. They wanted elections. So all those issues they want to bring to the fore once again, even after it's 2 years and the demands had not been met. So clearly that was an attempt to put pressure on the Gandhi family and the party leadership. But now through this virtual meeting though, Congress president is trying to assert herself trying to rally all the opposition parties, top leaders. Look at the leaders who will be attending the meeting: Mamata Banerjee, M.K. Stalin, Uddhav Thackeray, Sharad Pawar. So all these, top leaders from different corners of the country who are voices of the opposition in the country today will be attending this meeting, and they are the ones who will be jointly issuing a statement, passing a resolution against the Modi government, and that's what is the basic aim of this entire meeting which is being held today at 4:30.
Rahul, Anand, both of you, thanks so much for joining us and taking us through that developing story. It's going to be really interesting to see how things evolve on that front. Home Minister Amit Shah, in fact, and we'll come to that story in just a minute. Lots of meetings. Home Minister Amit Shah held a key meeting at his home on Thursday to discuss the upcoming assembly polls in Uttar Pradesh. After the meeting, a cabinet expansion in the state does seem imminent. Sources have revealed that 5-6 ministers may be inducted in the cabinet. Probables include Jitin Prasada, Lakshmikant Bajpai, Sanjay Nishad and Vidya Sagar Sonkar. At present, 23 cabinet ministers, 9 ministers with independent charge and 22 ministers of state in Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath's cabinet. The key meeting was attended by Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath, BJP Chief JP Nadda, State BJP Chief Swatantra Dev Singh and Organisation General Secretary Sunil Bansal. With state elections less than 6 months away, the BJP is likely to focus on engaging caste and regional equations in the reshuffle. Apart from the cabinet expansion, candidates for the Legislative Council were also discussed in the key meeting.
क्या एमएलसी के को लेकर कोई चर्चा हुई? क्या आप जाएंगे एमएलसी में? आपका नाम आया?
उसमें मैंने बताया भाई, पिछली जो वादा हुए थे उसमें कुछ तलखियां हुई। हमारे समाज के लोगों को एडजस्ट नहीं किया गया, हमारी पार्टी के लोगों को एडजस्ट नहीं किया गया जो हुआ। तो उन्होंने कहा भाई पीछे की जो हुआ वो छोड़िए, आगे निश्चित रूप से जो भी होगा उसमें आपको निश्चित हिस्सेदारी भागीदारी मिलेगी, उसमें आपको कहने का अवसर नहीं मिलेगा।
It's a mega development blitz by Prime Minister Modi in his home state of Gujarat. Modi today unveiled multiple projects at the Somnath temple via video conferencing, and speaking at the event, he hailed Sardar Patel for showing the will to revive ancient glory of India. The Prime Minister also talked about Bharat Jodo Andolan, which he said was a movement to connect with the past to build the India of the future. Prime Minister Modi sent out a strong message to terrorists, saying destructive forces can dominate for some time but can't suppress humanity for long. The projects inaugurated include the Somnath Promenade, Somnath Exhibition Centre and the reconstructed temple precinct of Old Somnath. The Prime Minister also laid the foundation stone of Sri Parvati Temple, which is proposed to be constructed at a total outlay of 30 crore rupees. Meanwhile, the opposition took a swipe at the Prime Minister, with TRS asking, why doesn't the BJP launch such projects in Telangana? CPM, on the other hand, saw headline management by the Prime Minister in his Somnath outreach.
जो तोड़ने वाली शक्तियां हैं, जो आतंक के बलबूते साम्राज्य खड़ा करने वाली सोच है, वो किसी कालखंड में कुछ समय के लिए भले हावी हो जाए, लेकिन उसका अस्तित्व कभी स्थायी नहीं होता। वो ज्यादा दिनों तक मानवता को दबाकर नहीं रख सकती। आज मैं लौह पुरुष सरदार वल्लभ भाई पटेल जी के चरणों में भी नमन करता हूं, जिन्होंने भारत के प्राचीन गौरव को पुनर्जीवित करने की इच्छा शक्ति दिखाई। सरदार साहब सोमनाथ मंदिर को स्वतंत्र भारत की स्वतंत्र भावना से जुड़ा हुआ मानते थे। ये हमारा सौभाग्य है कि आज आजादी के 75वें साल में, आजादी के अमृत महोत्सव में हम सरदार साहब के प्रयासों को आगे बढ़ा रहे हैं। सोमनाथ मंदिर को नई भव्यता दे रहे हैं।
मोदी साहब तो माहिर है हेडलाइन मैनेजमेंट में कि वे विपक्ष का मीटिंग हो हेडलाइन में ना जाए, तो वो पहुंच गए सोमनाथ। और ये बातें आज की बात नहीं, 5 से 6 सालों से सुनते आ रहे हैं रिलीजियस टूरिज्म की, लेकिन हुआ क्या, किया क्या ये सरकार ने? ये है सवाल जो जनता पूछेगी।
And on your screen, drug regulators' subject expert committee has recommended approving Zydus Cadela's 3-dose COVID vaccine, Zycov-D, for emergency use authorization. This will be India's 4th COVID vaccine. That's the breaking news coming in on your screen. We've got approvals now from the drug regulators' subject expert committee recommending approving Zydus Cadela's 3-dose COVID vaccine. That's the Zycov-D for emergency use. Milan Sharma joining us on this from Delhi. Milan, take us through what you've learned. This is the 4th vaccine now that will be available. What does it mean when they say emergency use authorization? How soon will people be able to access it?
This is big news because Zydus Cadela's Zycov-D vaccine is the 3-shot vaccine. Now, the subject expert committee that comes under the Drug Controller General of India has recommended that Zydus be given an approval or an emergency use authorization. This means that after they get an EUA, the vaccine could be administered to Indians. Now, this is a DNA vaccine, and this is the world's first such DNA vaccine that has been created wholly within India. So it's India's indigenous DNA vaccine. Apart from that, there's going to be a 3-shot vaccine. Let me tell you, sources have informed us that this is a recommendation that has to go forward, and the Drug Regulator General has to stamp its approval for the emergency use authorization. At this point, the government has been looking at speeding up of vaccine authorizations in the country. After Zydus gets an approval from the drug regulator, this will be the 6th vaccine in the country which will be available for administration. And the 4th, of course, the Indian, after Covaxins, Bharat Biotech Covaxin, Covishield from Serum Institute of India, and Sputnik V was given an authorization in India. We also had authorization for Johnson & Johnson and Moderna. So the 6th vaccine there now waiting for an EUA.
Definitely picking up speed, and good news for sure. We're now going to have access to yet another vaccine. Thanks to that, Milan. We're going to take a very quick break. Well, there's no end to the human tragedy in Afghanistan. Day after day, heartbreaking images of parents passing their babies to strangers at the front of the queue at Kabul airport. In the latest video, parents can be seen handing over an infant to US security forces at the airport. Kids are the main victims of this Taliban surge. Parents willing to let go of their children in the hope of a better future anywhere but Afghanistan. Watch how these children, crying after being separated from their parents, are being carried by strangers to the front of the queue so that they may be saved. Watch carefully though, the gates of the airport are closed. Kabul airport has been witnessing a mad rush as people continue to flood the airport in a desperate bid to flee the country. Afghans and other nationals have been thronging the airport to escape the barbaric Taliban rule. At least half a dozen Afghans were killed in the chaos. In an exclusive report from outside the Kabul airport, a sea of humans, including men, women and children, can be seen queuing outside and waiting for their turn to enter. In the background, gunshots can also be heard. US troops who still hold control of the Kabul airport have been firing gunshots to control the crowd.
This is the north door of the airport in Kabul. You see by this the main door of military door for the foreign persons. The low crush of people, the Kabul, when the Taliban is capturing the Kabul, they are coming here, escape from the Kabul. And the military of foreign persons, American and Afghan National Army, they're firing for the peoples. And you see all people, women, children, and guys, everyone came from our home, they want to escape from here. Some guys say we didn't live from the Taliban's flag. With Sultan India today, Kabul. He's But yes, he is a 4 months. He's a 4 months, and he's also 4 months. And she's his mother, and she came here in front of the Kabul National Airport. And this family, they want to travel from Afghanistan to other countries. Why they are travel for the other countries? What's the reason? What's the problem? They left Afghanistan. The weather is also very hot. They are sit here. What's the problem? I asked some question from this mom. دلیل چی هست با طفلکای دخولو یا دوگانگی بگوین نوزاد 4 ماه هستن از جیسا قندولک آمدی و میخوایی وطن ترک بکنی دلیل چی بود؟ درد چی بود؟
لطفاً کمک کنیم خوش میتونم کمک کنیم به ملتتان کمک کنیم
She said for me, I want to escape from Afghanistan because there is a war. There is not peace and peaceful life for Afghan people. And now the man is crying. The man is crying. Please, she wants from European people, European government and some embassy and also Alman. She wants to help us. She wants to help us to leave this country because Afghanistan now is not good situations. So the people have not good situations. There is some families. They are working with government, with some embassy, with American, with some people.